Now it says setting up live. And we are live on Facebook. If I can see it now. Now I've lost it again. Okay, so welcome, Blaise.
Hello.
Good to see you again. So welcome, Facebook viewers, if anyone's listening, watching. This is Inspired Woman TV with Ruth Stuettgen, and it's my aim to inspire you by interviewing amazing ladies and gentlemen to share their journeys across the screens, across the stages of the world, by inspiring you and motivating you to step up your game in life. And this is our Saturday Night Live, impromptu and very short planned impromptu in Saturday Night Lives. No big deal about it. We're not going to dress up. We're not going to, you know, if you want to be coming on in your pajamas to watch this, be there. So Blaise and I have known each other, I think, Blaise, since about 2014.
Yeah.
That would be right.
Oh, yes.
And when I did my first book, From Misery to Mastery.
Yeah, it does feel like a lifetime ago.
Doesn't it? So Blaise is a publisher, and that's where I got to know you. So and then I went on to publish my second book with you. So I'm very happy to be in your corner of the world, Blaise. So thank you so much. I'm going to share with the world a little bit about you, and then we are going to go into you sharing your amazing journey. So Blaise Van Hecke is a co-owner and publisher at Busybird Publishing. She's also a writer, photographer, and walker. She's the author of The Road to Tralfamadore is Bathed in River Water, a memoir about growing up on a commune in the 1970s, as well as 50 Days for 50 Years, Walking the Camino de Santiago, a travelogue of her 800-kilometer solo trip across Spain. Blaise runs workshops about writing, editing, and publishing, and is popularly in demand for talks about publishing in general. What Blaise loves most is nurturing an author through the writing and self-publishing process. And I can attest to that because I've written 2 books through you, Blaise, and I know I'm in good hands if anybody ever wants to have a chat to me about that. And your memoir sounds very interesting, that you grew up in a commune in the 1970s. You don't even look that old, right? So,
I was young. I was little.
So that's quite interesting. And then your 50 Days for 50 Years, you're going to be talking about that in a moment. So just tell me, I know I've read that, but who is Blaise? Tell me about that.
Oh, it's always weird, isn't it, to be talking about yourself? But so, yes, I did. I grew up on a commune in the 70s. I had a single mother and she had 4 kids. So for anyone who knows about the 70s, it wasn't exactly easy to be a single mother in the 70s. I mean, it's not easy now, but back then it was much harder because getting money was harder. So she decided to take us all to the coast, and she became part of this group who had, there were several families. There were several families who lived there. Yeah. And I didn't go to school. I was homeschooled. And then when I hit high school, I went to a boarding school, an all-girls boarding school here in Melbourne. But growing up in the bush and having what I call a free-range childhood really made me a very resilient and creative person, which has led me to be a storyteller really all of my life. So while I call myself a publisher, I am first a writer. And I just love working with story. I love working with people to try and help them extract their story. even today I was talking to someone who wants to she wants help from me to write her Russian mother's story. Her mother was left Russia during the revolution. So, you know, to me, that's just so intriguing. So I just find that everyone's story is so unique. And so I just love working with people to get it out. And so as time went on, I became a publisher, just, you know, organically, I guess.
Yeah.
So I've been actually publishing books for about 10 years. I have worked with over 550 people to publish their book. And but I walk the talk as well. I don't just tell people how to get their story out. I publish my own stories. So the story about the commune is sort of a collection of short stories written from the point of view of how old I was, which was between the ages of, say, 4 and 11. Okay. And then when I turned 50, I decided, instead of having a big party, to go on a walk by myself. Right. And I had actually been thinking about it for about 15 years.
15? Wow.
Yes, I heard about the Camino when I was about 35, and someone I knew was doing it for her 50th, and I thought, what a great idea. And it just, isn't it amazing how quickly the time goes and suddenly you turn 50? I don't know how old you are. But
I don't know, because I'm only 30.
Yeah. Well, you know, in COVID, I've let my hair go natural.
That's good.
So the walk was something that I wanted to do for myself. I've got a copy of the book here. It's just a little travelogue, and I've actually included photos all through it. This is one of my favourite. This is a little pony that came to say hello to me as I was walking over the Pyrenees. So I walked on my own for 800 kilometres.
Yeah.
It was the most amazing experience of my life.
Did you have to plan it by yourself? Walk me through it.
Well, so for anyone who doesn't know what the Camino is, it's a pilgrim walk in Spain. And there are loads of different Caminos actually all over the world. There's one around.
One in South America or something like that.
Yeah, there's tons of them. There's a new one that's just opened up in New Zealand in the last couple of years. There's one that goes all around Japan and goes to all of the temples. I think there's 88 temples or something like that. But the walk I went on is called the Camino de Santiago because it's a pilgrim walk that was allegedly walked by the Apostle St. John. And he is interred at there's a huge cathedral in Santiago, and he has a tomb there. So the walk that we follow from France all the way across Spain is that same walk that he was taken on. He had died and they were going to bury him at the end of the earth, which is on the coast in Finisterre. But they only got as far as where Santiago is now. And so they hurriedly buried him there because they were being pursued. So I don't know if anyone has seen in the cathedral, they have those giant incense burners that take about 3 people to, they kind of ignite them and they go across the cathedral. And that's an amazing experience too. I did see that. But the Camino itself is so well revered in Spain that all along the walk, everyone who lives on that walk really holds the pilgrim in high esteem. And there are lots of places where you can stay along the way. So you could actually walk without a map. Okay. They have little, I don't know if I'll be able to so they have these markers. I don't know if you can see that. It's got a shell.
Yes.
They have those markers all the way along the walk, and so you just follow them. And many of the towns are only, say, 2 or 4 kilometres between them. So you could, it's easy to find somewhere to stay. And Spain is actually very cheap.
Yeah. So did you book it from here? Did you organize it from here, or how did you do it?
No, I wanted to do it as traditionally as possible.
Okay.
Short of wearing bare feet and robes, as the traditional pilgrims would have done.
Right.
I did have hiking boots and I had hiking clothes and a backpack.
Yeah.
But I carried everything that I took with me, which was about 8 kilos. And you just decide where you're going to stay on the day. So it is sort of first in, first served. It's very basic accommodation, but you are so tired at the end of the day that I was sleeping so well. And they have also food, you know, they have like pilgrim food, if you like, that's cheap. So, you know, it's quite easy. And just amazing to meet so many different people. It reminded me of back in the day when I was backpacking in, you know, 30 years ago. So you feel, and just having people from all over the world, you know, there was young kids from South Korea and French and Italian and American and Aussies all doing this together, and it was kind of like a community. It was really good. Yeah.
So what did it, so you obviously weren't walking on your own, but so the starting point is in France, you said?
Yes. So you actually climb over the Pyrenees.
Okay.
So you start in Saint Jean de Pierre de Port, which is on the other side of the Pyrenees. So you actually have to climb over them on the first couple of days, which is really hard work.
Practice beforehand?
I did, but the most I could ever do on a weekend was, say, a 10K walk. And on average over the, it took me 42 days to walk it.
Okay.
And on average, I did about 20 kilometres a day. So it was kind of hard to practice. Within about a week, you start to get fitter, but the first few days are really, really tricky. Having said that, there was two people in their late 70s walking it with their backpacks. This cute little old lady with a little bob with her lipstick on, yakking along on a mobile phone while we're walking, and I'm like crying going up this road.
That wasn't a sort.
It was her 9th time.
Her 9th time?
It was her 9th walk.
Wow.
She does it every year.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So you'd think that wouldn't be so much. I mean, okay, if she was doing it for 9 times, or if it was her 9th time, it's not so much soul searching anymore. That's amazing.
Well, people do, you know, how, you know, we talk about soul searching or reconnecting with ourselves in life in general. And people feel like that they need to do something really big, you know, in order to do that. But even our daily meditation, if we do daily meditation, is you know, highly recommended in my opinion. But people tend to do the Camino to revisit that that reconnection with themselves every year. Some people would do it just to lose 10 kilos. I overheard an American man walking, and he was quite big, and he said, I just come every year, I lose 10 kilos and I go back home again.
Oh my goodness.
So everyone does it for a different reason.
Yeah. So what was your drive? What was the drive for you to do it? What was the decision that you wanted to do that particular walk?
Yeah, well, I had had it in my head a long time, and actually one of the authors I worked with has done the walk, and so that cemented it for me. She came along a couple of years before, or a year or so before I turned 50, and that kind of reminded me that I wanted to do it. I think I wanted to just, there was a few reasons. One was I've been with my husband since I was 18, and I've never done anything on my own as such. You know, I haven't been anywhere or done anything without my husband. So I wanted to do something on my own. So a bit of self-discovery and a bit of a challenge to see if I could do it myself. But I also wanted to give gratitude for the fact that I'd reached 50, because not everyone is lucky enough or blessed enough to do that. And I thought also being on my own. So I was walking on my own all the time, even though there's other people walking along that track. I was sort of on my own, and I purposely didn't walk with other people because I wanted to take the full experience so that I could delve into myself more. And it's amazing when you're walking for 6 to 8 hours a day, how much you get inside your head.
I'd imagine that.
Yeah. So that were the reasons I did it. Not so much for spiritual, or not even so much for self-development, because I've done a lot of self-development throughout my life. So it was more of a challenge, but I think mostly to just give gratitude for the fact that I had reached 50. It was sort of like felt like a rite of passage or something like that.
Yeah. That's really good.
Yeah.
Can you recommend it to anyone?
Highly recommend it. If you have a young person in your life, like a teenager who's, getting towards university age, say, and, there's always this talk of gap years and what have you, outside of COVID, obviously, but I'd highly recommend a young person especially to do this, because it really teaches you a lot about other people and about life.
And about self-reliance as well, doesn't it?
Yeah. The youngest person I met was 16, and she was walking with her father, which I thought was gorgeous. They did the whole walk together. But there were other young people, sort of, 18, 19, and I just thought, I wish I'd known about this, when I was that age. I mean, I did do a year of backpacking when I was in 1990, but that was with my husband. So, it was quite a easy thing, I think. Mind you, it was pre-Facebook and pre-mobile phones.
So no Facebook updates and all those kind of things where you post photos and tell people where you are. That's a different world away, isn't it? It's how could we ever go back to that? Would be really nice.
Yeah.
Really nice. But as good as this is now, look, I'm on the southern point in Melbourne, and you're the other side of town.
Yes.
So
there's pluses and minuses to technology. This is something that I've realised over COVID, is that I much prefer face-to-face, being in a room with people. But I have done a lot of Zoom things, like a lot of things like this over the last almost year. And it has enabled me to connect with people down on the peninsula, or, in another state. People from Western Australia, for instance, have been able to come on to some of my little chats, and it does help people feel more connected if they are in, country towns, or feeling like they're a bit too far away from cities and things like that.
Yeah. In that sense, it's been really good.
Yeah.
The non-connectedness or the unconnectedness or the distance is bringing people together even more so, isn't it? Which is really great. So how did you document your journey in any way? Or
so I kept a journal. I'm a big journal keeper. I have been since I was a teenager. And I did intend to publish a book, mainly because my business paid for me to go, so I had to produce something. But I also thought it would be good to put a little book together, because it's a useful resource for anyone who wants to do the walk, because it is a travel log. I've actually I've written something for every day. So it is actually 50. I did actually technically go for 50 days. So it was one day for every year of my life.
Oh, yes.
And so I have, it is like a travel journal in terms of day 1 to day 50. And so it is a really useful thing for people to use if they wanted to do that walk. And some of the feedback that I've gotten is that for those people who've read it, say it feels like they've gone on the walk with me. And so they kind of get a little bit of that a little bit of the, not spiritual stuff, but a little bit of the growth that I got through it, because, you know, you're always growing, even though I've done a lot of self-development, and that's not why I went. I still, of course, grew more and learnt more about myself. So I guess it's a bit like armchair travel, isn't it? It's good to go on a journey with someone when you can't do it yourself. Yeah, so
yeah, that's good. Did you take a lot of photos? Did you take some videos and things like that?
Heaps, yes. I actually took, about a week in, I noticed, because I am actually a photographer as well. I actually went to photography college a long time ago.
I know that about you.
That's where I met my husband. Yeah. So I went, obviously, to, you know, I did plan to take photos, which I did take lots of photos, and I could only choose, I chose 50 for my book so that I had one per day, but there were lots of other photos as well. But about a week in, I noticed how much the sound of the pathways, how much sound there was around me, like frogs and birds and cows and people and all of those sorts of things. So once I realized that, every day from then on, I took a little snippet of video with sound. So I've put them all together and put them up on YouTube and called it The Sounds of the Camino. Because there's things like, you know, on about the second week, I kept hearing a cuckoo.
Okay.
And here I was walking along thinking, this cuckoo thinks I'm cuckoo. Yeah. And so you're walking along and you hear cuckoo, cuckoo. And I'm thinking, oh yeah, I am cuckoo. What am I doing out here in the middle of nowhere by myself?
Are you hearing sounds?
And I tried to get a photo of a cuckoo and I never managed it. And I tried really hard to get the sound on the video.
Have you seen one?
No, I haven't seen one. And so on about day 30, I finally got the sound of one on one of my videos, because every time I got my camera out to do it, they disappeared.
It's gone. Okay. We used to have those cuckoo clocks, you know.
Yeah, I know. I've got one in the office.
You have mine? I'm not sure. I'll have to have a look if I've got mine. But I wouldn't mind actually getting another one.
Yeah, they're funny.
They are corny, but they're very nice, very different.
Yeah.
So, would you mind reading something out of the book?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let me pick that's going to be tricky. How do you pick a page?
Pick a page, any page.
All right. This is day 34. I've just picked one at random. 34. And actually, day 34.
Yeah.
So this is May 19th of May in 2018. So it's almost 3 years ago that I did this walk. And actually, at this stage, I was really sick with a really bad cold. The room is full of bunks, but luckily I'm in an angled corner in a single bed. I enjoy my cubby hole at Albergue Hararias, and I start a book called The Muse. A heavy shower came down last night as we enjoyed our vegetarian meal with presentation beyond pilgrim standards, like platters of slate and earthenware bowls. Beautiful, nourishing food. This is a great place to stay with not too many people, although the room is too hot for sleeping. I miss my bedroom at home where we sleep with the door open to the backyard. I knew that today would be a tough climb, and it is. Having a disgusting snotty nose doesn't help, but it's a beautiful walk nonetheless. The path winds up through moss-covered tree roots and twisted trees. My energy levels aren't great, so I need to stop often. At O Sobrero, it's time for breakfast at a bar high up in the mountain. It's bone-chillingly cold up here, and a heavy mist shrouds the view to the west in the direction I'm going. The Spaniard at the bar is surly and we're all scared to order breakfast. The path from here is up and down. I must have legs of steel by now. Despite the low energy, I enjoy this walk through trees and fields and take a selfie at Alto de San Roque, where an imposing statue of a medieval pilgrim looks out to the west over the valleys. I've had enough though by the time I get to Fonfria, to Albergue Robledo, which feels like in the middle of nowhere. This place is huge, with 3 rooms housing 63 people each. I don't like the vibe here, but I don't have the energy to keep going. There's a youth hostel atmosphere, and despite so many people, I'm lonely. There's a good lounge. I don't know how much you want me to read.
Wherever you feel comfortable to start.
I'll go to the end of this day. There's a good lounge area where I hang out after my shower to write and rest. There's plenty of opportunity to chat to people, but I'm not in the mood. I prefer to listen to people's conversations and just observe. At dinner time, we all walk down the hill to another building where we are fed a big feast. There is no way anyone will be hungry after this. I talk to people on the table around me. William the Texan sits across from me, but my head cold is making it hard to hear and hard to talk, so I leave as early as I can. There are lots of younger people, which is what gave me the youth hostel feel, but there are also lots of older people, so it's diverse. This is what continually surprises me about the Camino. Now that I've moved into the land of Galicia, it's as if I've relocated to another country. Gone are the clean villages. They're now carpeted with cow poop, and the air is permeated with it, even with a blocked nose. There are chickens, horses, cows, dogs, cats, and old nonnas walking the streets. Tractors are the favoured vehicle. I take a photo of a shiny blue tractor that is parked in a glass house that looks like it should store plants, but there's this tractor gleaming in the sunshine like a trophy. I do have a photo of this tractor in this glass house.
Oh, wow.
How cute is that, in this tiny little village? That's that day. It gives you a bit of an idea.
Yeah, it's really good. I have to get that book actually. Andrea was telling me that she bought herself a copy. So she went to the launch, I think.
And I know that Andrea did the virtual Camino. So that's pretty good.
That's right. Yeah, she did. I never asked her about that actually. So I've got a couple of things that I would like to ask. Okay. So you've inspired me to want to do it again, want to do it myself. I don't think I'll wait till I'm 50 myself. So, I might wait till I'm 40. So I want you were talking about the road or the path leading up. So it's obviously not, I know you climbed over the mountain.
Yep.
What about after that? Was it very hilly or what
it changes all the time. It's up and down. Some of it's flat. In the very middle, about 2 weeks of the 6 weeks, it's a long flat stretch. And in actual fact, people who you talk to who have done the whole walk, because some people don't do the whole walk because it's hard to get 6 weeks off work, but they say that the first 2 weeks is the physical part of it, and that's where you struggle physically with it. Then the second,
something like runner's block, they talk like, when you get to a certain point.
Well, the thing is, you can go at any pace you like, and I did try to go at a slow pace on purpose, but you're carrying a backpack the whole time. And so I had an 8 kilo backpack, and they say that you should carry 10% of your weight, which means so at that stage, I put a little bit of weight on during COVID, but at that stage I was about 56 kilos.
Yeah.
So really I should have only had a pack that was 5.5 kilos, but it's very hard to carry what you need for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And I had a sleeping bag in there. So it was a bit heavier than it should have been. So that was a bit tiring.
Yeah, which leads
Um,
me to ask you what actually fits into an 8-kilogram backpack. Because,
that's a good question.
I don't know. I haven't looked at an 8-kilogram backpack for a while.
Yes.
But what would, for a person that is maybe would love to have all their bits and pieces in there, wouldn't classify themselves as a light traveler, what did you have
Yes.
in there?
Well, luckily I am a light traveler, but even so, I still had to be very strict about what I had. So I had one change of clothes. So I had whatever I was wearing and one change of clothes.
Really?
Yes. But I had a few little things in there so that if I wanted to go somewhere nice for dinner, I had something that I could dress up a little bit.
Black dress or something?
Well, I had a little, I've got a silk skirt that my mum designed, actually, that I've had for about 15 years. And when it's packed up, it's, it's as big as my phone. It's so tiny, it's really tiny. And I could wear that with sandals and a t-shirt. Sorry?
Yeah. So silk,
It's silk. Yes, it's silk. No, as soon as you put it on, it falls out. Yeah, so that's a really good travel piece. 3 pairs of good woolen socks.
So you had your silk skirt, you had your sleeping bag.
Yes.
It would have been a light sleeping bag, but degree-wise, you would have had to make sure that it keeps you warm as well, because obviously
and probably
at the time when
I got my sleeping bag from Aldi for $20.
it goes up to minus 30 degrees or something?
No, it goes to about I think 0 degrees or 3 degrees or something. So it's not a really, but I went at a time of year when it wasn't cold. And actually all the places
in May or April, May, isn't it cold?
Yes, it was the start of spring.
Spring, yeah.
So there were days when I was walking and it was only maybe 3 degrees, but I just had all of my clothes on and within half an hour I was hot. So, so actually it's a nice time to walk.
That's right, you wouldn't want to walk in the heat.
No.
So your silk skirt, the size of your phone.
Yeah.
Sandals. So what kind of sandals?
I had hiking sandals so that if I got them wet, they would be okay.
Okay. So you could
but sort of nice-ish ones that I could wear with my silk skirt.
That's amazing. Okay.
I don't think I was setting any fashion statements though.
Yeah. Okay. On a 42K walk or day walk, I don't think you would want to think about fashion. No. And so your top. And
I just had I had 2 t-shirts and one's long sleeved top, like a hiking top, so that wool that dries quickly.
Yep.
And I had like I don't think it's here. I've got a fleece jacket, like a zip up fleece, a light one, and then a waterproof raincoat. Yeah, and
then underwear, of course.
Yes, underwear, bras, a couple of bras, and a thermal singlet.
Okay.
And I would do washing every few days.
Yeah. So where did you do your washing? In the river?
No, most of the accommodation had
shower.
Yes. Okay. And some of them, if you paid a bit extra, there was one I stayed at which was had German nuns running it, and they were very strict, but they did your washing and they would give it back to you all dry and folded up nicely. It was very nice. You paid for it, but it was, $5 or something.
And your photos were all taken with your camera, so you would have had your what do you call it, charger with you?
Yes, I did.
Then you would have had your journal in there.
Journal, yes. Unfortunately, I couldn't take any books because that was too much weight. So any books that I read, I found along the way.
Okay. Yeah. And then left there again. So your journal, obviously it was a handwritten one, not a normal one.
Yes.
And what else? Water bottle, snacks.
Yes, I would buy snacks. There was one day I left halfway through. I stopped for 2 days, so I had a 1-day rest. And I got excited and went to the supermarket and bought lots of fruit and salad and things like that. and they had punnets of strawberry, and they were kilo punnets. That was the smallest size I had.
Really?
So I took them all back to my room, and then I thought, and some bananas, and I thought, if I don't eat all of this, I'm going to have to carry it. So I ate a kilo of strawberries that night, and I thought, I hope this doesn't.
And you did end up carrying it then.
Yes.
Just inside you.
Luckily, I worked it off.
Yeah. So that sounds amazing. So 8 kilograms into your backpack. So was it really, I mean, how big was your backpack? I remember I went when I was 19. Have you got the backpack?
I've got a picture. Yes, I have a picture of me in my backpack.
When I was 19, yes, I had something like that. So I took a trip to Europe in winter, and I remember that was my first time going to Europe, and I had a backpack similar to yours with a little pouch travel pack on the top, which you could zip off and on, and then my bum bag. So that's how I traveled back then, and it was over winter. So I didn't have a lot of clothes in there. So you can imagine in wintertime you'd need to have warm clothes, and it's pretty similar, you know, what I had on me, something in the bag and something nice to wear.
Yeah.
And I had is it called the Japara, the raincoat? Yeah, I had that. And so I traveled lightly too. And I was gone for 6 weeks. So it's amazing. So your backpack, and did it get heavy during the day as you walked?
It's interesting. Some days I didn't notice it, and other days it felt twice the weight.
Yeah. It correlated towards what was going on in your body, what was going on in your mind.
So and there were some days where I had a sore knee, and so it's amazing how when you're not feeling well, the mind starts going, you know, it's that mind over matter kind of thing. And then you start feeling cold and homesick and sore, and why am I like, when you're there in the middle of a 10K or a 20K walk and you're cold and you have a sore knee and you don't know where you're going to sleep that night, you start thinking, what am I doing here in the middle of Spain on my own when I could be home with my family in front of the fire? So yes, definitely there's a lot of stuff that goes on in your mind.
Did you keep contact with your family often? Or
yes. Well, yes, because I had to leave my husband looking after our business. The poor thing was freaking out a little bit. So we FaceTimed every day, which wasn't ideal, because if you do this walk, you should be able to switch off if you can. But that was a compromise I had to make. I couldn't expect him to look after everything with staff and lots of projects that were going on at the time. So that was sort of the compromise. I would check in at the end of every day around 3 or 4 o'clock, which was the start of the day here, and help him if he was freaking out about something.
That's funny. Okay, so so you obviously wrote in your computer, in your journal, not computer. I was going to ask you whether you had your laptop or something like that. But
no, I didn't want to carry anything.
Yeah, and it does get heavy, right? Regardless of whether it's only 8 kilograms. 8 kilograms doesn't sound that heavy, but walking with it 10 kilograms or 10 hours a day or something, it would get heavier. Yeah.
Yes.
What about language barriers?
Well, in that area, most people would speak English because it's lots of tourists. They survive on tourism there. A lot of the villages, you're going through lots of villages, and there aren't very many young people living in those areas anymore. They're just the older generation because they've all moved to the cities to get work. So, pretty much they have to know English, because everyone coming through, English is the most, universal language, I guess.
Yeah. And over in Europe.
So I didn't have any issues.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Do you have contact with any of the people? Did you make any special friendships or anything, or with anyone from?
I did, and so there's a couple in Italy who I've kept in contact with, another couple in Argentina, and some other people in America.
Okay.
So I was going to send them the book when COVID started, but then I thought it will probably get lost in the mail, so I haven't done that yet, but I will do that. Yeah, because I mentioned them in my book.
And the other thing I was going to ask you, didn't meet anyone that lives just around the corner from you down here in Melbourne, because that sometimes happens.
No, surprisingly no.
Sometimes the world can be really small. I remember when I was in Paris years ago, I was in a youth hostel and shared the dormitory with a girl that was living 10 minutes from where I was living down here in Australia. So sometimes. And what's one great thing? We'll come to an end now. What's one great thing that you've taken from this trip?
One of the biggest things, well, I'm going to give you a couple actually. My biggest lesson was that love is one of love is the only thing that we need. Love for each other, love for humanity. If we treat each other with love, we can go a long way. And what I found amazing with people on the Camino is that everybody looked after each other, and people would give you their last piece of food if they thought you needed it, as I saw it happen. If you were sitting on the edge of the road and looked a bit despondent or something, someone would come and help you, That was one thing. The other thing is that I learned about myself is that I have all the answers already. I already know all the answers to my own questions. It's just sometimes you need reminding that you have that all within yourself. And so, not everyone can go on a pilgrimage like this. But even if you're feeling really down, if you go for a day walk somewhere, it's amazing how being in nature and connecting with yourself and connecting with Mother Earth, or however you want to put it, spirit, whatever, you can actually find a lot of the answers that you need.
So it's really just if you're going through stuff, or if things become overwhelming, it's just a matter of deciding to take yourself away from it. Just get back and take that walk in nature, or take a whole day if you need to, or like you did 42 days or something, maybe not that long.
And trust that you have those answers in yourself. It's just about a matter of accessing them.
That's really good. And those are things like, so many people come to that conclusion, right? And it's just a whole nother topic. It's we then actually, when we get back to reality, do we then actually really put those things into place, or do we actually live it that way, right?
Yes.
Maybe sometimes the practicality of the day or logic steps in and we do things differently.
That's why I think everything should be a daily practice. We should be giving gratitude daily. We should be connecting with people daily. We should be giving ourselves time to be with ourselves every day.
And quite often.
And often, it's because life does. When I came back, I came back, and the day after I was back at work, and it was very bewildering, and all of these things came at me, and I just had to launch back into work, and I didn't really give myself time to process it all, because something like that is so life-changing does take a while to process. But what I would say is for everyone is that it's a lifelong practice. All of this stuff is lifelong practice. You don't just go away on an amazing life-changing trip and come back and you're changed, and everyone around you adjusts to that, because you feel different, you feel more grown up, or changed in some way, but everyone around you is going to be exactly the same, and that can be really hard to
That's
connect with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just trying to be aware that others haven't changed, and then to just maintain that growth that you've had, to keep growing, or to not go back to your old self, right? I think you've just frozen.
I think am I back?
Yes, you're back. You
Mm.
just froze for a second there. Okay. Blaise, I was almost going to call you Grace now. That was really amazing. Thank you. And I must get that book. So if someone's listening or watching now or later, where could we get the book that you wrote, which is called the one that we just discussed now?
Yes, so it's called 50 Days for 50 Years, and it's on my website, which is busybird.com.au.
Okay.
So we have a bookshop on there.
Yeah, that's great. And next time I wouldn't mind hearing more about your memoir, growing up in a commune. That would be interesting. Okay, so thank you so much, Blaise. And I'll see you on our International Women's Day event, right?
Yes, I'm looking forward to that.
I'm hoping that it will go ahead. We'll cross our fingers that we will still be able to meet in person and not have to pivot online. Okay, so take care and have a lovely evening. Say hi to Kev for me.
Okay, thanks for having me.
Yep, I'm just going to stop the Facebook Live, and then I'll have a chat to you. Hang on. If I can figure out, stop live stream. And before I stop, actually, I'll say goodbye to the viewers. So thank you so much for watching Inspired Woman TV with Blaise Van Hecke and Ruth Stuettgen, and for joining us on our Saturday Night Live. If you're around next Saturday night, or if you're in another part of the world, it might be daytime for you or morning time. Hope you can tune in, and hope you were inspired by Blaise's story this evening. If you'd like to be a part of the show by being interviewed, please let me know. Contact me on the Facebook page or at my website, InspiredWomanTV.com. Have a great day, take care, and stay inspired. Bye for now.